You found Rowan Radio. Rowan Radio. 89.7 WGLS FM, Glassboro.
The following program does not represent the views or opinions of the staff or administration of Rowan University or Rowan Radio, 89.7 WGLS FM.
Greetings, I am Stanley for the American Dream. Here from our guest, Robert Hawthorne, when we return.
This is WGLS Rowan Radio.
And welcome again to the American Dream. I'm your host, Stanley L. Today our guest is Robert Hawthorne. How you doing, Robert?
Okay, how about you, Stanley?
The normal, extraordinary.
It's a beautiful day, isn't it? A beautiful time of year.
A beautiful time of year, beautiful day. Great to be here at Rowan Radio with all my friends. I have to say, you don't mind me pausing for a little break right now, right?
That's fine.
I want to give a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year shout out to my engineer who's going away for a month, Emily. So I got that out of the way. So I feel better now.
That's great. That's what the time of year is all about. Spread joy.
Absolutely. Robert, why don't you begin by giving us a little bit of background?
Well, my background is began at the shore. All of my history in this embodiment has been in New Jersey. Started in Toms River, New Jersey, and then after high school there, I went on to Lycoming College, where I majored in sociology and minored in psych and biology. About a year after getting out of college, when I was married to my first wife, I took a job in Pittman, New Jersey, very close to this radio station geographically, and helped open Pittman Manor, a United Methodist home for the aging. After about 25 years as a long-term care administrator, I moved into studies of macrobiotics and then studies of the Ascended Masters, and my journey has gone on in kind of a sabbatical away from the outer world, real world, which I was raised into, where basically now I do a lot of internet research and follow my own schedule rather than that dictated to me by a public school or even the college I went to. So.
Okay, well, things have changed, right?
Things always change. We're evolving towards a greater level of consciousness, all of us, and I've had the blessings to do it quite consciously and with a great deal of freedom, much more so than when I was working two jobs in long-term care for 10 years. And
Sure. We can talk about that, couldn't we? 2 jobs, how long?
Well, as I used to say to people, when you work for not-for-profit facilities, you're a not-for-profit person. So we had to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. And my second wife and I, who deceased 18 years ago, we had 5 jobs between us and no children.
Oh, okay.
But we were able to pay the bills.
Interesting. Robert, you know the show, and so we're going to jump right to the big question. What is your American dream?
My American dream is probably rooted in our founders, the founders of the United States of America. So my American dream is to see us become all that they envisioned. And as we each participate in that, we can help move the United States of America, the constitutional United States of America, back into its rightful place in history and the destiny of humankind. Our forefathers saw the United States as a land of freedom, and we as citizens of this country need to keep that foremost in our mind as the stockholders essentially of our government. We need to keep their toes to the line so that we don't get too far afield of what was originally intended. The Constitution of the United States most especially the Bill of Rights and our Declaration of Independence, were God-given instruments, and it is the destiny of the United States to lead the world to peace, freedom, sovereignty, and liberty for all. So we have to do our own work here. As we've moved somewhat away from that seemingly recently, we have the power, by the grace of God, to go back to what was originally designed, and it will come to pass very soon.
Well, you know, it's funny that you brought that up as your American dream. The Founding Fathers, at the time, they felt that they were going against one of probably the biggest challenges, resistances there in their entire lives. I mean, these were educated men and spiritual and of all sorts of backgrounds, but they were dealing with some major issues, which helped them to really establish what was in the Constitution, because they knew what freedom was all about and what freedom would do if they had these things off them. Today, I wanted to ask you the question is, how do you see your role and fulfilling the Founding Fathers' mission, your American dream?
Well, let me go back a little bit to when I ran a Ferris wheel in Seaside, New Jersey. I was 19, and an older woman, quote unquote older, got off the Ferris wheel, and we started talking. Everybody was on the beach. It was a nice afternoon. And after I shared some of my ideas, she said, "You're rather altruistic, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Did you ever consider running for office?" And I said, "I've considered it. But in order to run for office the way our country operates currently, it's a two-party system, so you either are one party or another if you want to have a realistic chance of getting elected. And when that occurs, to get elected, you have to go one way or the other, and you have to buy into a party line. And at that point, I wouldn't be the same person you're talking to as I spoke to this 23-year-old. So I moved a bit away from that. I believe now that we all influence the consciousness that America is. And so I do a lot of work silently, quietly, independently, decreeing for the God government of the Republic of the United States, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, comprised of sovereign individuals, each of us as citizens thereof. As we affect the mass consciousness, we influence the amount of light that is able to flow back into this country to transform it to what was originally intended. I participate in that in slightly larger ways through the poetry I've been blessed to have been given to write for the last 40 years. So much of my work in that area gets into America and the original intent and design of what I see forthcoming. I'm the past president of the Society for Poets of Southern New Jersey, which is a 28-year-old organization. And we've had exposure in many schools where we've taught poetry and many other venues as a group, as well as reading individually and being published in various newsletters and magazines.